Hello everyone and welcome. My name's Lainey. This is Big Girls Really Do Cry and welcome to the Banish bin. And this week we have the lovely Stephen, who is Stall69. You will have seen him in the chats, I'm sure. I didn't beg you, did I not, Stephen?
Well, I think if you could have done, you might have got down on your hands and knees. But
yeah, maybe. Right. Well, I did go, if you don't want to do it, but please, kind of thing. It was kind of a bit like that, wasn't it?
I'm here, and let's make it roll.
He agreed, thankfully. So if you haven't been here before, basically the Banish bin's a bit like Room 101. If you don't know what Room 101 is, I have given Stephen some categories and he has to decide from those categories what things he wants to banish. Basically, he puts his case forward. I listen, of course. If there's anything in there that I want to save, then I will do. And then, I mean, I'm only allowed one save per 3. So hopefully it isn't 3 things that I want to save in these one set, because I'll be like, oh no. And then I'm laughing at Lex because she put Lainey used blackmail, I bet. As if. Anyway, yeah, so out of, the choices that are left, they get then put to the chat and they decide which out of the final 2, if I've saved one, is banished.
You promised not to say what I was arrested for, Lainey, so... And I trusted you with that, but if you're going to hold it against me to get me here, then that's up to you. That says more about you than it does me.
It was written on the bathroom wall, what can I say? It was there for everyone to see, not just me. Is that a snowman in Stephen's window? No.
Maybe.
Oh, is it?
No, it's not. It's
You made me wonder now. Is it? Yeah, Lex know that, she said. I'll be right. Right, well, going to say a few hellos and then we'll get started. So, hello Kelly, hello Laura, hello Jilly, hello Lex, hello Barry G, hello Joan, hello Antoinette, hello Rebecca, hello Sharon, hello Elaine, hello Helen, hello Paul, hello Ian, hello Andrea, hello Queenie, hello Mandy, hello Chris, hello Jordan, hello Nia, hello Junie, hello Tam and Bell, hello Susan, and just go down, and I think I've got everyone. Oh, sorry to hear that, Mandy. I hope you're okay. Hi, Janice. Yep, I'm at the bottom. Oh, hi, Sam. Sorry, nearly didn't see you. I think I've gotten everyone.
Can I kick off with some caveats to say, first of all, I might not be able to see the chat, so something really wrong with my eyes this evening. They're quite blurry, and so I might not see what's going on in the chat. But, and I said this to you earlier, didn't I, Lainey, that if I start rambling, I want the people in the chat to pretend they've got buzzers, like deviation or rambling, and get me back on track. So if I see that in the chat, then I'll know that I have to rein myself back.
You so know they're going to just leave you because they'll want to hear all your stories and things like that. So you so know they're just going to leave you. It'll be like story time with Stephen. Like,
are you sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin.
Yes, I'm comfortable. Everybody else? All right. So your first category is things people do.
Right, things people do. Okay, let's start off with the most annoying one.
Okay.
Know-it-alls.
Know-it-alls.
Know-it-alls. know-it-alls. And we all know someone like this, and they have to spout what they know, their knowledge, they just have to show off constantly. And I think you'll recognize that person. You often get them in resellers' channels when they're showing things they bought, and you get that one person that constantly pipes up saying, that's a so-and-so, so-and-so, dated from so-and-so, so-and-so. You know that kind of person, don't you?
Maybe.
Absolutely irritating. And there's a general groan, and everybody hates them. And they're just, teacher, I know the answer. I know the answer.
Wait a minute, right? But Stephen, you know quite a lot.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway. Oh, okay.
That person will pretend that they're just trying to be helpful, or just, oh, it's lovely to share my knowledge. No, rubbish.
Oh.
It's all self-serving, and it's all about showing off. So they need to go in the bin.
No. I'm gonna give it this much, right? There is some people who know it all but don't actually know it, and that's the ones that you should mean. Do you know what I mean? I think the know it all is different.
I mean, it might be the person was really looking forward to researching it and looking it up, but no, uninvited, that person just jumps in there, tells them all about it, and then sits back and waits to be praised. So
no, I think the people who are thankful, they don't have to go and look it all up, essentially, and search the internet, and it saves them some time.
You're being nice.
No, I'm being honest. All right, we'll come back to it. So your second one?
Know-it-alls. My second one are people that go shopping, food shopping mainly, as a family. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 generations all going out together to do the weekly shop. And they form a wall of human flesh down an aisle, and you can't get to anything. And you've got the mother who, you know, oh, Janice, are you sure you want that? Because last week you said it had bits in it and you didn't like those. And then, Hugo, are we still a vegetarian this week? And them deciding their menu there whilst everybody else is trying to shop around them. And you've got Dad, and Dad's not interested. He's just on his phone. He's only there to carry the shopping. And, you know, he's probably on Tinder or something. And then you've got Nan. Nan doesn't know where she is. She just wishes she was back at home watching Countdown. And she hasn't eaten solid since 1993. So she doesn't care. And yet they're all there deciding on the menu at the same time. And of course, you can't get around them. And then the children get bored. And then they go off on their scooters, which for some reason the parents have decided is a great idea for them to have their scooter in a supermarket. Or wheelies. They go up and down with their wheelies.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you get 2 families in one aisle. And then it's like a scene from West Side Story, and no one's going to get lost until the rumble is finished. So, yeah, people who shop in large groups or families, mostly families.
Yeah. Okay.
You're not sure about that one, are you?
No. I'll let you put forward your third one, and then I'll see.
Okay. The people that are in front of me are cash point cards. Now, I go up to a cash point card, put my card in, put my number in, get the cash out, go. That's how long it seems to take me to do something. But the person in front of me always seems to take so long. And first of all, they get there and they haven't, you know, they've been standing in the queue, but they didn't think they'd get their card out before they got to the machine. They wait till they get to the machine, and then they're rummaging. Oh, is that? Oh no, that's my gym membership. What's that? Oh, that's my Nectar Points card. Oh, well, what shall I use that? Oh, no, it hasn't been paid yet. I'll use this one instead. Then they put it in the machine and decide that that is the time to sort of break the Enigma code. And they're tapping away for hours and hours and hours. And I'm thinking, what you're doing your whole online banking. Just get your money and go. But they don't. And it takes ages. And I don't understand why. So those are my 3.
Right. Carla's arrived, and she said, the person in front of you is my mother. She was there 1 to 5 minutes. When I asked her what was going on, she hadn't even put her card in.
No.
Bless her. Okay, right. So these know-it-alls people,
Yeah.
I don't know why you kind of
Terrible
put yourself in the banish bin here. I'm not getting it.
Me? Me?
What?
Are you calling me a know-it-all?
You know stuff. You know lots of stuff. I've seen, but it's not in an, let's want a better way of putting it, in an arsehole kind of way, right? When people who say that they know it all, and then it turns out that it isn't actually that, they just, you know what I mean? Or they had one of them and it was worth all of this money, and then this, that, and the other, you know, but whatever. It's a different, you've got knowledge and you're sharing your knowledge with people who really appreciate it. It's not being a know-it-all, is a difference. So for me personally, and I think the chat would agree with that. And for that reason, I'm only saving it because I know you were doing it for you, and that's the reason I'm saving it. So
you saw through me.
I saw through you, yes. And also I know the chat, and Andrea, I saw Andrea comment about it, saying like it was helpful and that she really likes it. So yeah, she really likes those people, I think she said. Yeah, she says there, we do appreciate it. So, and I know others would say the same.
Dreadful people.
So the one, those who think they're a know-it-all but don't actually have any knowledge, that's the ones that are annoying. There's a difference. So people who go food shopping in families, I can understand going with one person, you know what I mean? And I suppose if you've got a child, I guess you've got to take it. You can't leave it home if it's under a certain age, you know what I mean?
Can't you?
Well, it's frowned upon, you know what I mean?
Put it near an electric plug and it'll entertain itself, and then just go out and do your shopping. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I suppose you could just keep it in the cupboard, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
No one would know. So yeah. But I don't understand why you need the whole family, the mother.
Or decide what you want before you get there. Just, you know, or do it online if it's that complicated. If you've got that many different choices, do it online.
I do mine online. It's just so much easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's less hassle, so much easier. Do it online. But yeah, I don't understand who needs to take the whole family, and then as you said, with the 2 sets of families in one aisle, it's like, it's like West Side Story. But so I totally agree with you on that. The cash point people, I once got stuck at a cash point because it was really slow. The cash point, not me. And this drunk guy in the queue, which was really long, and I was really conscious of it. He was quite offensive, shall we say, because of it. Which, like I said, wasn't me. I understand that some people who are maybe a bit like, my dad was a bit like that as well. Like he was kind of like trying to work it out a lot.
Well, I have to admit that everything that's ever irritated me about other people, I've slowly become. So no doubt that will be me one day, but for the moment I can ban them. But
I've also seen a group of young'uns go to the cash. There was about 3 of them, and then they all used it separately, and they all were chatting in between, and like, you know, getting this, that, and I'm like, been here for ages, because you're just like mucking about. So, and because obviously I've saved the know-it-all bits, I can't save 2, so I'll have to let the chat decide anyway. So people of the chat.
So it's Carla's mother, or
not just Carla's mother, like I said.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say like my dad, but he's no longer here, unfortunately. But you know what I mean. And other people. So if you want to banish people who go food shopping as a full family outing, then put shopping, just to make it easier. And people who take forever at the cash point, put cash point. There you go.
Susan's saying that she finds online shopping a hassle. I don't like it because half the things that I normally buy on the list, but also I live more or less exclusively off the discount section. So I can't buy anything unless it's being discounted. And you can't buy that online. So I have to go in every day. Yeah, shopping day trippers. Shopping day trippers, that's it.
It's just like it's a day out in there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, next they'll be wearing rubber rings and flippers and snorkels and wandering around in those.
Flip-flops. Having them go up the aisles. Yeah, it's definitely shopping. That makes it easy for me because I don't have to count it. Okay. All right. So moving on to the second category, which is celebrities.
Okay, before I do that, can I just say Queenie Conquest, I just saw her Instagram post and she's saying she's been on a wee holiday. And I'm not quite sure what a wee holiday is, but it sounds medical. Anyway, that's beside the point. So,
a short holiday in Scotland.
I see.
I'm assuming.
Right. Okay.
Not the other kind.
No.
She hasn't been visiting the toilets where your offences are on the wall that we were talking about earlier.
I visited every public convenience for a 3-mile radius for my holiday. Anyway, okay.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, someone will do it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, celebrities. I'm going to kick off with, I have to kick off with Stephen Fry because I do go on about him quite a bit. And it's not really his fault, to be honest, why I don't like him. I don't like him because everybody else does, I think. And it's not that they like him, it's that they've sort of bestowed this thing on him that I don't think he would necessarily even claim to have himself or deserves to have. That he's this sort of bon viveur and raconteur, and he's highly amusing and great fun, and he's sort of on everybody's dinner party list as the perfect guest. But it's not that he's clever, it's just that he reads off cue cards. People think he's clever. You know, he doesn't just walk into that studio and start talking about things he knows. It's all been researched for him. It's not him that's coming up with all those answers. So if you invite him to your dinner party and you expect him to be highly entertaining and witty and informative, you're going to have to provide him with cue cards. So I'm afraid Stephen Fry, I think he's probably actually quite a depressive person in real life and a little bit morose.
Well, listen, hasn't he got
he has got some sort of mental health.
It used to be called manic depressive.
Oh yeah.
I forgot what it's called now.
It's duo. Was
bipolar.
Bipolar, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's my first choice. My second choice is Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, and I'm really only mentioning him so I can talk about the fact that I did a TV show with him about 10 years ago. So, and he, to be honest, he was all right. He was sort of quite entertaining, to be around at the time. But they do this. It was a stupid daytime TV program called Auction Party, and you have two teams of people from charities that gather together stuff and they do some of it up, and they get in an expert to help them to choose what to buy, to sell, and then how to do it up. And I was one team's expert,
right?
And so The camera people then take you to one side, and then they sort of ask you questions and film it to do little slots and things. And they were saying, "Oh, Lawrence has just been through all your the things that you've advised the charity to buy. What do you think about what he had to say?" And possibly a bit too loudly, I said, "Oh well, bring back Carol Smiley." And he heard me, and he gave me such a look. And from that moment on, it was very sort of frosty between us. And it was, whilst we were filming, the big earthquake in New Zealand had happened on that day.
All right.
And I was saying to him that he should, because I happen to know that sort of Australians and New Zealanders absolutely love Lawrence, and he's a big hit there because they kind of like camp and kitsch and his sort of thing. And I said, you should go there and help them do a TV program where you help them sort of do up their homes after the earthquake and help them, restore it and make it better. And that would be a great TV program. And he was so dismissive about it. And it's because he was actually trying to get into the Chinese market, and he wanted to get into the rich Chinese market. And there was a TV show all about him trying to do it. But the thing is that even though China mass produces stuff, they do know quality because, they have lots of skills. And Lawrence really isn't known for quality. He's known for flamboyance. But anyway, the whole thing was a huge disaster, and I think he made a huge financial loss on it. So I dare say he's sitting around thinking he should have listened to me too.
Yes, so, I reckon he did. He is.
Yeah, I expect he laments that every day. So anyway, so Lawrence in the bin with him.
And your last choice?
Oh, who was now I'm going to change my mind on this one. I wrote down Orla Kaylee, whatever her name is, the woman who designs sort of geometric flower prints. And do you know who I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's bad enough that you can't pronounce her name, so for that reason alone, she should be bin. But I'm not going to go with her because earlier today I posted a picture of me being Simon Le Bon on Instagram.
Yes.
And
which you look very cool.
I don't know about that.
I think
it reminded me of a story, and so I'm going to change it. The only problem is I don't actually know the person's name, so that'll be interesting, won't it? And nobody else will know who they are either. So, but they do deserve to go in the bin. So, wait
a minute. So, are they a celebrity though?
Well, you'll have to decide for yourself. It's tenuous. Okay, it's Simon Le Bon's daughter. Now, and no one knows Simon Le Bon's daughter. Now, a friend of mine who's a makeup artist, this is many years ago, got a commission to do a charity fundraiser fashion show, and it was to do the makeup for celebrities' children who were going to model clothes in a fashion show. So, right. For some reason, I either volunteered or she asked. God knows why she'd asked me, but she said, "Would I be her assistant for the day?" I thought, "Yeah, sounds great. I'll do that." So we turn up at this place, and we're each given a sort of a chair, and then they bring in the children. And all the parents are there, and they all know each other and saying hello. And this child came down and sat, well, I say a child, she was about 12, came and sat down in front of me. And she was the one I was going to have to make up. And she was the grumpiest lump of a girl that I'd ever seen. She was so miserable about being there. And it was written all over her face. And let's just say she hadn't inherited Yasmin's supermodel looks. She'd got more of Simon's sort of fleshier jowl face thing going on. And she was 12 and she was angry. And this whole thing was sponsored by a cosmetics company. So the idea was that we used their cosmetics on all the children. Yeah. And that's what we were there to do. And before I could say anything, she just produces this box and says, "You have to use this." and it was her own makeup set. And she was so precocious, and she's 12 years old, and she's got her own box of makeup. And I thought, oh, who's going to know? Of course I will. And then, unfortunately, I said the wrong thing. I looked at her, she handed me the box, and then I said, oh, right, okay, fine. Is there anything in here to hide spots? And she just crumbled and started wailing and started screaming. Yasmin came and took her away from me and took her out of the chair and pulled her away. And this girl was just in tears and it's having such a tantrum. And then one of the organizers came over and asked me to leave the dressing room and never come back.
Oh dear.
So, yes, so I blame her for that. It was not my fault at all. So, yes, Simon Le Bon's daughter. Well, it was their only one of them. I think they might have lots of daughters now, but at the time it was their firstborn. So,
I think Carla said she's a fashion model now, so she must have improved a bit.
Oh, so I didn't ruin her life.
No,
well, maybe I set her up for it. That harsh criticism that they need.
Yeah, maybe
I made her life.
You did.
See, I did all that good thing, but all she did, well, one of the parents, Simon or Yasmin, got me banned. So I'm just returning the favor.
Amber, Saffron, or Tallulah, is them the three children's names, is it? Three girls' names. I don't know how long ago that was this?
It was in the 90s, and
in
she
the
was
90s.
About 12, and it was they only had one child, so.
Oh, so it must be the oldest then.
I don't know which one that is.
Well, I think
she was
Carla put Amber Bin. And Joan saying bin her parents.
Andrea won't bin the bonds.
No. Okay, so I'm going to start. Stephen Fry. Guess who loves Stephen Fry? Me.
You think you do, but you don't know. You think you do.
He's got like, I watch like his documentaries and stuff, and he's lovely. He comes across really well. He's funny. He's got like just great sarcasm and looks, and I just like it. I really do.
I think there's a difference between being able to appreciate someone's TV and then who they really are. And I
get that in QI, you know, he had cards and whatever or whatnot, but I do believe he is intelligent. I do. I mean, obviously,
well, he's been publicly educated or privately educated, so that's. I mean, I do really like him. As for Lawrence Llewellyn, so I am saving Stephen Fry, just in case you didn't realise that. He'll go on to do another day.
Lawrence Llewellyn, I can't stand him either. He's just all about like, I just find his sort of hand movements intentional to like move his stupid shirt sleeves, which annoy the life out of us, and I really just want to roll them up and like just, you know what I mean, like, or cut them off or something, because it's frustrating. Like, I remember him in changing rooms, and I remember the amount of times that had issues after he did stuff.
Yeah,
people were like crying their eyes out after he did stuff, because he would put his taste on or what he liked on other people, whereas for me, he never listened to the people who, you know what I mean, and went by what they liked and what they thought were good. You know what I mean? He
built an entire design, you know, career out of being terrible.
Exactly, and I don't know how.
But they've remade Changing Rooms, and he's back on it. So that's as far as he's got in life. So that serves him right.
Yeah. It's the same with his flicky hair. It was like his flicky sleeves, and he's just flicky everything. It's annoying. So yeah, obviously, don't like him. Simon Le Bon's daughter. well, what a brat, you know what I mean? Basically, all right, maybe you didn't quite use the best sort of like way of saying something, of course. And she was a child, but she was definitely a spoiled brat as well. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm afraid I don't know her. I like Stephen Fry, so I'm saving him.
Okay.
The people of the chat can either banish Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen or Simon Le Bon's daughter. So if you want to banish Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen, type Lawrence. If you want to banish Simon Le Bon's daughter, type Simon. It's just easier. Stephen Fry is not as clever as he likes to think he is.
No.
Pretentious.
Well, I don't know that it is him who thinks he's clever. It's that everybody thinks he's clever because he's on a show being clever.
But the thing is, you're only clever in what you know anyway. It's only based on what you know. Like, I don't class myself as being very clever ever. You know what I mean? But I think in other things I'm good at. It's just one of the things, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what he's obviously intelligent, but I don't think he walks around really knowing all the different facts about everything under the sun.
No, because, well, you have to do research, don't you? You don't learn unless you do research or you read or you learn things or you taught whatever. Then that's the only way you get to become and know stuff, isn't it? That's the basis of it. Oh yeah, I could have said LLB.
Yeah,
that would have been easier, wouldn't it?
Well, I never had to spell Lawrence, and
pretty much everyone's gone for Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen anyway, so easy, don't have to count. And I suppose we don't look awful for banishing children. However, she's not a child now because it was in the 90s. All right, okay. Category 3 is food.
Food. Now then, I found this actually quite difficult because if you'd asked me about 5 years ago, I was notorious. I would only eat beige food. If it wasn't beige, if there was any color on the plate, I couldn't possibly eat it. And preferably sweet. Sweet beige food was just what I would want to live off. I once had a dinner party, and people still talk about it to this day because it was a 12-course meal, and they say you've got a piece of toast for the starter and the rest was all pudding. So but about 5 years ago I decided this is stupid, and obviously for my health and everything, and I tried to become a vegan. And I did it for about 3 months, and it was just horrific. I liked the food, but the food did not like my stomach, and I've never been in such agony, and so I gave that up, and then I went on to keto, and then I'm fine. So I'm quite open to a lot of different foods that I wouldn't. So yeah, I found it quite difficult. So my first one is aspic. What is it? Why is it there? When you buy a pork pie, why have they put jelly around the outside of it? And if it hasn't melted during cooking, what's it going to do inside your stomach? What is aspic and why? Why? Someone has to tell me.
But it's not me. I'll ask Stephen Fry.
Yeah. It all depends on. Yeah, no.
Wait a minute, I'll just pass him some cards.
Quickly, look up aspic.
Aspic.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it comes in other things as well, but I mean, it's just such a nasty texture. It's like, and it doesn't taste of anything, so it's not like it's adding to the flavor or anything. No. I just don't get it. I just don't understand.
I agree. That's horrible. But we'll come back to it again. What's the second choice?
Okay, my second choice is the milk that's left over when you've had a bowl of cereal. Now, there is no
in the bowl.
Yeah, in the bowl. It's the leftover milk. You finish the cereal, and then, well, I mean, if you do it properly, there shouldn't be any leftover milk. But when there is, some people, and this isn't one of those things where, you know, there's no right or wrong answer. There is only one answer, and I will judge you depending on what your answer is. Some people drink that milk.
I don't.
Thank God for that.
I'm not a massive fan of cereal, but the few times that I have it, I could not drink that milk after.
No, it's horrific.
Yes.
So, okay. Drink it up. Yum. Oh, well, typical Susan. I'm judging you. Okay, and then my third one isn't.
Yeah.
This is where I've had to be a bit naughty. It's not actually food. It's restaurants that don't serve you food on plates. I am absolutely fed up with going places and being served a meal like on an old rusty shovel, or you go and sometimes you get things on a plank of wood, and you know, all your sauce is just sort of seeping into the grain of this old bit of wood that, you know, just came off a scaffolding site and has never seen a dishwasher in its life. Or you also get you know, you're chasing your food around trying to avoid earwigs on an old palm leaf. It's ridiculous. I want a proper plate, preferably with a rim around it to stop the food escaping.
Yeah, your chips come in a little basket now.
Yeah, well, we have a place here that's called Chips a la carte, and then when it turns up, it's in a tiny miniature shopping cart. That's
Yeah,
funny. My own words.
little basket and I've seen them on like chopping boards, essentially. You know what I mean? What you chop it up on, type of thing.
Yeah, or a sort of dirty old piece of slate off someone's roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Bit of wood from the sea. Just washed up this morning, this, love. There you go.
I will say that when I was in Bali, we got chips served on a bed of volcanic ash, and that was surprisingly tasty. But that's about it.
Okay, right. Okay, let's get started. So the aspic, the jelly, that is horrendous. I totally agree with you, and I can only assume it's to preserve the meat for some reason, because like you get I don't know if it's not the same kind of jelly you get on corned beef, but you get like a something round jelly as well. But I always remember when I was really young going to my nana's, and my nana would do sandwiches, and she'd buy the tinned chopped pork, peck I think it's called, or whatever. She'd buy a tin of that, and then she'd cut literally a wedge of it with the whole of the jelly stuff still on, all of that. It would be on a wedge of bread with a wedge of butter and a wedge of this jelly.
And the jelly rises to the top in those tins, doesn't it? So it's like this giant section of it.
Oh no, Dodo says aspic is the stock of boiled bones.
Oh,
that's just
worse.
Yeah.
It can't be necessary, because you get other foods that, you know, they're preserved, they're meat, it's fine. They don't have jelly around them.
Yeah, it's minging, absolutely minging. And I used to feed the sandwich to the dog. Be like, slyly like giving the sandwich to the dog sideways, who was quite happy she was a German Shepherd. She would just be like, "Oh, lovely," you know what I mean? But I don't have cereal very often, but when I do, I can't drink the leftover milk. And I want to know the people who are getting that spot on. If you're getting that spot on every week, you know, if you're like you know, you've got exactly the right of measurement of milk to your cereal, like you need to be like some sort of like super scientist or something, because it's like mathematical genius to me, because it's just no way that I ever get in there. I always end up with loads left over. And apart from if you have Weetabix, because Weetabix, right, that slide that, it just, where does it even put it? It's like, you could put like a full bottle in and it's gone. It's like, seriously.
I don't think it ever fully saturates. I think you could use a whole pint of milk on one Weetabix and it would just still keep soaking it up. I don't know why they don't use them as flood barriers.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, exactly. You need sandbags and all that. You know what I mean? Strange. And what I steal is chocolate milk. So, like, I don't do chocolate cereals. I love chocolate, which is weird, but I can't do chocolate cereal. And then the milk, oh, nah, sorry. Not be doing that.
No.
So, moving on to the last thing. I'm going to allow this in. I mean, it's restaurants that don't serve you on a plate, which is just mental. It's like a fashion thing. Let's find the weirdest thing we can serve you. You know what I mean? Like what are you going to come up with next?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No plate at all. You're going to get soup in a basket.
Soup in a basket. You just have to like sit under the table to catch it or whatever.
Yeah, they just stand over you and just pour it straight into your mouth or something.
Yeah. Your burger on a couple of bricks. You know what I mean? It's just the builder's style food or whatever.
We used to have when I lived back in Suffolk, we used to have a takeaway, the only pizza takeaway. It was really quite a big thing that it arrived in Felixstowe. But their pizzas were so tasteless, and I'd swear we still ordered them, but because there was such excitement about having food delivered back then.
Yeah.
And I ate an entire one, and I said, this must have been the worst one. Yeah, it was so tasteless. And it turned out I'd consumed the styrofoam base as well that it came on, and hadn't even noticed.
Oh my God.
Just munched away, and
There's a thing, I think it's Asda or somewhere, and basically someone phoned up Asda to complain because they'd bought a pizza, gone up there, bought a pizza, got home, and it had no topping on. Anyway, they were going mad on the phone saying it's got no topping on, I've come all the way down and I've got to go back, blah blah. And so he was going mad, and then she went, "Are you sure it's got no topping on?" And then he was like, oh, and he started laughing, and he goes, "I had it upside down." So he was looking at the base and upside down. He was telling I had no topping on it. God knows what sort of, Yeah. But to be honest, I suppose with some places that styrofoam base would have probably been nicer than some places.
Yeah.
But yeah. Tasty wants to know what drugs you were doing back then, Stephen.
Oh, anything someone would pass me. I was probably just high on life. I was a young, happy thing back then.
That's cool. All right. So, people in the chat, if you want to banish aspic or jelly, just put jelly. If you want to banish leftover milk in your cereal, put milk. And if you want to banish restaurants that don't serve you on a plate, just put plate. Make it easier.
No one could want to save aspic, surely. No one.
I can't see anyone liking it.
If they have shares in aspic or whatever, but I can't.
Yeah, well, the jelly's like, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oops, a few plates.
Oh, Lex likes a plate.
Put it on a plate. Don't make me count people. I suppose if you're at a restaurant, you've got no choice, do you? Whereas, like, you can't say, "Can I have a plate?" They might go,
you should.
We don't have any plates. We only have scaffolding planks. You know what I mean?
They probably have to pull up an old kitchen tile and
yeah,
serve it on that.
be like, "Do you want kitchen tile?" But yeah, I'm actually thinking that's gone to plates.
Yeah, I think it's going to be plates. I'm really surprised.
Yeah,
Don't come across as big enough to object to it.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to eat pork pies and things like that, really, don't you? And if you don't eat them,
yeah,
right, I'm going to give that to restaurants that don't serve you on a plate.
Hey, I hope they're watching.
The bar got to bring out the plates and bowls and buy some.
Yeah.
Okay, so next category is things people say.
Things people say. Okay. One, when you meet someone, probably for the first time, when they say to you, "Well, what do you do for a living?" I hate that. I absolutely hate it. I mean, it's usually followed by or preceded by, "And what car do you drive?" And they're not interested, really. They're just trying to suss you out. They're trying to pigeonhole you into, what you do is who you are. And I know lots of people who aren't what they do for a living. They just, they do whatever they have to do or want to do, but it doesn't define them.
No.
And people then, trouble is, of course, I've never actually had a real job. So I've not really ever been able to answer that question. But I never think to ask people what they do. If it comes up in conversation, usually I wouldn't understand whatever it is they did anyway. But if it comes up in conversation and I'm interested, then I'll speak about it. But I wouldn't initially sort of want to know that so that I could classify them.
So if it does come up in conversation, what do you actually tell them? What do you say?
I do nothing.
Oh, you just say, "I do nothing."
I do nothing, yeah. Because then they then have to decide whether I'm a dosser or whether I'm, highly privileged with a private income, or it still leaves everything open. And so, and I'm neither of those things, unfortunately. But they don't have to know that. I don't think people should be defined by how they earn their money. I'm more interested in how they spend their money, because that would tell me more about who they are.
Yeah.
On the things that they buy, the things they like, the things they think are worth spending money on or not spending on. That's more interesting to me than, what do you do from 9 to 5 every day? Because people have to do whatever they have to do. So that would be my first one. People who ask you what you do for a living.
Well, Lex tells people that she's a space cowboy, and Sharon tells them she's a madame.
And both of them would be believed.
Exactly. Yeah. Very true.
Okay, my next thing is, and there are some people who are going to not be happy about it, but people who ask you to take your shoes off when you go around to their house.
Right.
It's so rude. I hate it. First of all, my feet are going to smell, and I don't want to take my shoes off. And, they say, "Do you mind just taking your shoes off before you come in?" Yes, I do, actually. I do mind, because my feet are going to smell, and I'm probably wearing socks with holes in them, and I wasn't prepared for this. No one told me. I got all dressed. Shoes were part of the outfit, and now you're asking me to get undressed in your home. And I'm not happy about it. And from that moment on, you're not comfortable. You think, and why have a home? Homes are for living in. Yeah. And if you have to be precious about something, you shouldn't have it, really, because you should be able to have a floor you can walk on in any footwear.
Yeah.
And I don't invite people around if you're that precious. Meet them somewhere else. Imagine going into a hotel, which is probably way more expensively and lavishly decorated than most people's homes.
Yeah.
You go over the door and, sorry, could you just take your shoes off and leave them at the door? Yeah. It wouldn't work, would it? So,
no. I totally agree on that one. You know what you should do if ever that happens again? Just have some paint or something, squeeze it inside your shoes, and then as soon as you take your shoes off, walk around their house.
Well, my
Where
feet
do you
are
want
usually
me to take my shoes off?
my feet are usually so hot and sweaty. You can see through the socks where I'm walking if it's a
Yeah, and I
a
think a lot of
floor.
people have issues like that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So no, that's a no. I just it just really sets up a horrible atmosphere to me. And you don't want to put your cup down on anything, and horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, and my third one is people who say, I call a spade a spade. That's me. I tell it like it is. I see it and I say it. And they're very proud about that. And these days, there does seem to be a sort of general feeling that that is a good thing. And everyone applauds them for, oh, yeah, you know where you are with so-and-so because, she tells you like it is. Pff, no, I don't want to hear it like it is. I mean, there is a certain element of being a grown-up that candidness, bit of honesty, that's fine. But blunt truths without any thought that go, you're a grown-up, you should be able to employ a certain amount of tact. It's children that just blurt stuff out without thinking about it and say, what they see. And no, you just shouldn't just say what you're thinking without putting any thought into it or how it might affect the other person, just because that's who you are and you're proud of it. Unless you're a contestant on Catchphrase. And then, say what you see. That's fine. But in real life, no. Do you remember Catchphrase?
Yes, I do. Roy, what's his face? Roy, what's his face? That's a good name, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was his surname? Roy.
Don't know.
Someone in the chat will know.
But that's fine, because on that you were encouraged to say what you say. And in fact, maybe it's that program's fault. It is kind of
what you're saying there. It is kind of Roy Walker. Sorry, I've just read people saying thank you. The whole of the chat's just said.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone knows but us.
Even Stephen Fry knows. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because he's intelligent. He's got cards. So what was I even going to say? It just totally went out my thought there. I'll go through them anyway.
Okay.
So I understand it's small talk, isn't it? But it depends, because if it's just small talk because you're interested and then you're interested in that job, that kind of thing is one thing. But if it's just because you want to judge them, and I think that's the majority of reasons, isn't it?
If it's your first question.
Yeah, especially if it's your first question. Like, I hate that, you know what I mean? Like, personally, I think I'd rather have like just a joke and like muck about, and then, you know what I mean? And then if like the interest is further, then you talk a bit more, don't you? But to just go straight away, what job you got, what car you drive, where do you live, you know what I mean? It's all kind of like I'm judging you by all of these things, and it's like they probably even go, do you take your shoes off when you go to people's houses? If you don't, I can't talk to you anymore. Sorry. You know what I mean? But yeah, I also I like small talk. That's one thing, but I would jokey stuff more. Not to just go straight in and say, what do you do for a living? And then be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it depending on what you're living, like if you says, oh, I don't do nothing, there might be more interest because they might think, oh, he's got like, his own bank balance, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That's sort of why I do it, because if they persevere after I've said something like that, then I think you probably might be okay. I'll bother with you, but if they don't want to know you for any reason because you say that, then I don't want to know them either, really. In fact, I probably don't want to know them anyway. So
yeah. I totally agree with you on that, asking you to take your shoes off. I think it is rude. I think if I'm invited around someone's house, I'm invited as I am, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And what are they saying? Well, you know,
to me, it's just as offensive as if they said, "Can you take your bra off?"
Yeah. Well,
do you know
sorry,
what I mean?
could you just use this deodorant before you pop in and sit on our sofa?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. It's rude.
Like it would just make it's kind of like, oh, I don't know where I'm walking. I've just stood in every piece of shit on the way here just to come round your carpet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they're saying you're too dirty to enter our house as you are.
Mm. Yeah, and Sylvia's just made a point that I'll have had to be asked to take my wheels off. Or Susan says, "Can you leave Robo Bitch outside, please?" No, to be fair, that if it's wet, they make lines everywhere, so it's great. Would love it. I hope they've got cream carpet. I'm so annoying me. I'll just spin in the middle. Is it a disco? No. Oh well, I'm just having a good time.
Or be one of those crazy people that keeps plastic down on everything. They never sort of fully unwrap it, and so yeah, they put plastic down on top of
the edge. This is on the edge of things. Everything's got plastic. Everything's covered. It's like how it's supposed to be a home, not a show home. It's like I couldn't be like that. Just yeah. Anyway, right. I think if you haven't got a bit of dust here and there, what you're hiding, you know what I mean? What's hidden under your floorboards, etc. Is what I want to know.
You've got too much time on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the last one, I call a spade a spade. If you're just one of them people who sort of says it out there straight away, not ask for your opinion, not ask for whatever, then no, that's I agree with you on that point. You know what I mean? If someone asks you their opinion, and then you try and tactfully and nicely give it or whatever, that's fair enough. But if someone's just, if someone didn't ask for their opinion or didn't ask for their advice, then
yeah, you can say the same thing. You can get your point across, but you don't have to be brutally honest about it.
Yeah.
So, or painfully honest. People do have feelings, and sometimes, I've said things I think to people, and 20 years later they come up to me and say, "You once said this to me, and I've never forgotten." And I think, "Oh God."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not good.
Lauren says, "I call a spade a shovel." Lex says, "I'll take my shoes off only if I can go for a poo in the bathroom." Jeez. So out of them, I'm not going to save anything, so I'll let the chat decide. If you want to banish people who ask you instantly what you do for a living just to be judgmental, then put job. That'll be the easiest. People who ask you to take your shoes off, put shoes. And people who call a spade without actually being asked for an opinion, as it were, then put spade. And then we'll see what they say.
I reckon this might be evenly divided because they're all awful.
So far, I haven't totally had a,
No counting so far.
Yeah, I've been. I think it looks more spade and shoes than it does job. Oh, yeah. Then we'll get a few job ones. I think they're just kind of make us count, aren't they?
What happens if it is even? Do all three get to go in?
Guess what? Unless we just pick one, like you go back to you and pick one. I'm trying to remember if we have had it even before. I think we nearly did, and then it didn't actually happen. Because someone else put their choice in. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 12 for shoes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
See,
8.
Dawn Gardner is saying she carries slippers with her everywhere because she doesn't want the outside on the inside of her house. People used to live in dwellings where there was probably no difference between the outside and the inside.
A long time
People
ago.
live, you know, it's not. I don't know. Too precious.
Right. Spade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's shoes. The shoes. People asking you to take your shoes off.
Shoes, rain.
So from now, you get to leave them on.
Hey. That's if anyone ever invites me around again.
Well, you'll be invited here and you can leave your shoes on.
Excellent. We're on to drinks now.
Okay. Just catching up there. Right. I've been to places where you wanted to wipe your feet before you went outside. That's from Stu. Okay, yes. So the next category is drinks.
Drinks. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled by this one. Probably my least favourite of the things. I don't think I could get too imaginative over it. So my first one is going to be quite simple. It's beer. And mostly because I don't like it. And to me, it just tastes of soap. And I've tried, and every time I drink it, all I can taste is soap. I don't know why.
What kind of soap?
Just a sort of, there's a soapy, slightly, I don't know. It's in the texture as well. It's, I have had my mouth washed out with soap as a child, so I do know what soap tastes like, and that is in its beer. So
reminds you of that. Yeah.
And of course, the other thing that really annoys me about beer is, well, there's two things. People drink it and they love it, and they're so happy to have a beer, and I don't get to do that because I don't like beer, and that makes me cross because there isn't. It's the same with tea. I don't drink tea, and people have a cup of tea and they so happy to have a cup. Oh, isn't that a lovely cup of tea? And I don't drink tea, so I don't get that pleasure. So that's annoying. And also, you can get beer in a pint glass, and I'm permanently thirsty, always thirsty. But I can't go, well, I can, and I have, but you get strange looks. Go and say, oh, can I have a pint of Diet Coke, please? Because I want a pint of something. I don't want just a glass that I'm going to drink in seconds. So, sale. Yeah. And so that makes me cross as well. So it's beer.
Right. And your second choice?
Okay. Alcohol on planes. Which isn't necessarily
any type of alcohol on planes.
Yes. It's the stupidest idea in the world. Why would you do it? First of all, everybody knows that cabin pressure increases the effect of alcohol.
Right.
And we were actually only saying the other night that alcohol takes different people in different ways. And you're in a confined space that you can't get off to. You are actually crammed next to these people as well. It's not like you can distance yourself at all from them. And people are flying for all sorts of different reasons. They're either overexcited because they're off somewhere, or they're depressed because they're coming back somewhere, or they're anxious because they think the plane is going to crash. Yeah. And then you just pump them full of alcohol and then expect everything to be all right. Of course, it's not going to be all right. It's the stupidest idea. And, you turn around and say, oh, sorry, can you stop your child from kicking the back of my seat? Oh, mother's drunk. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't care. And why are they drinking a gin and tonic at 10 o'clock in the morning just because they're on a plane? If people need something, what they should have is a nurse that goes up and down the aisle with one of those sort of hospital trolleys, and she could dole out different things. Feeling a bit depressed, want an antidepressant, anything from the trolley? And you could have, ketamine. Oh, do you need to sleep? Here's a sleeping pill. And you could give people those things, and those would be individually tailored to their requirement.
But the cocaine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. But no, people, I mean, this is like on the shortest flights. I've been on flights 2 hours if you're nipping over to Spain or whatever. And the first thing people do is, oh, yeah, I've got to have a drink. And, why? So, yeah, banning alcohol on planes, it's just a really, really stupid idea. I mean, and how many YouTube videos are there of people trying to calm down?
Yeah, he is. I agree.
Yeah. So that's that one. And then my third one is expensive non-alcoholic cocktails. Now, here in Brighton, I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but you can go to a cocktail bar or anywhere that serves cocktails, and they'll charge up to £15 for a cocktail. And I'm thinking, that's absolutely ridiculous. But what's more annoying is that they've kind of raised the benchmark and the price point by charging such a fortune for an alcoholic one. That then is meant to make the sort of non-alcoholic ones look cheaper.
Yeah.
They can be £5, £6, £7. And all it is a bit of sediment from an old fruit juice, a bit of spritz of something fizzy, a bit of fruit plonked in on a cocktail stick in a fancy glass. I mean, you wouldn't pay that. You would pay £5 or £6 for just a normal drink, and and they're in cocktail glasses, so it's not like you even get a full glass, and most of it's ice or whatever. And I think it's an outrage.
That is an outrage. Like, to be fair,
it's like anything to do with weddings. You can go out and you can buy a normal pair of white shoes for, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 pounds, stick a pearl on it, call it a bridal shoe, and then suddenly it's £100. And I feel that's the same thing in a cocktail glass. It's just a rip-off.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I totally agree with you on beer. I don't get the soap taste. Okay. I do get an odd aftertaste, which is horrible. I don't understand it. Like,
but what is that aftertaste?
I don't know. It's weird.
It's
and I don't understand why people like it. I can't, for the life of us, understand why people like beer or lager or anything like that. It has a horrible aftertaste. It makes us want to go.
Yeah.
That's the face of all if I try it, and I just can't get away with it. So, alcohol on planes. I've never been on a plane, right? So therefore, that side of it doesn't bother us. However, if I was on a plane and someone was like really annoyingly loud and abusive because they'd been drinking on the plane or whatever, I'd be annoyed, to be fair. So I agree in the sense of like change it over to some drugs that can just feed them whatever, keep them quiet, they'll be happily, Dawn saying is it Xanax? Xanax?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what it is. And I think Lex said she wanted to go on your ketamine plane.
We'd have a great time.
Yeah.
Or she could bring her magic mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Sorted. In the expensive non-alcohol cocktail, it's pretty cheap in the north, to be fair.
Isn't everything?
Yeah. But I mean, when I used to go out, like a long time ago, like things were like I used to buy pound bottles of drinks, and they even did like buy one get one free offers and stuff when I went out, like long time ago, as I said.
Yeah, they have happy hours, don't they? Where they
had to, so you just get pissed in the happy hour and before you went out, which is what we did. You know what I mean? To like make up for it, kind of thing. And I think it was £15 for 2 drinks, but it was alcoholic drinks here. So we got 2 alcoholic drinks for £15.
That's just a lot to me.
It is a lot. I still think it's a lot because I was kind of like, what? You know what I mean? And a can of hooch, because hooch is better, but a can of hooch was £5. Yeah, and I was kind of like, I'm used to £1. What's this?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But £15 for a non-alcoholic drink, and then for it literally to be a mouthful because you put it fancy in some, that is ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous.
I was in the supermarket and there was a group of young people and they were standing around talking about going out that night somewhere. And they were saying there was this great deal that you could, if you went in and you paid £50 up front, you could drink as much as you wanted to within a certain within a certain time period. And so they were, thinking about laying out £50. But he said, and this is when I then realized that's how much he said, well, if you think about it, they're £15 each per cocktail. So, it really worked cheaply in the end.
Sense, yeah.
I thought £15 for, when I think how hard I work to list something and, photograph it and write all stupid stuff about it and post it. And I know I make 15, and then someone's just gulped one back in seconds.
Yeah.
No.
I've went out on £6 before and had the best night. Me and my friend, I've got £6. I think she had 5 or something, and we went out on that and had the best night. I mean, we did sort of have a bit of drink before we went, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, you see, pubs nearly went on my list. And it's because I don't understand why people want to pay such a lot more than if they just bought it from the supermarket and had it at home.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like the atmosphere of a pub, and so I think, why are you paying to be in a more hostile environment than you'd have at home?
Yeah.
Doing this and having drinks at home, for a fraction of the price, it would be much nicer. But that's because I'm social.
I kind of agree with you now, but when I was younger, I suppose it was the social thing, and it was the sort of meeting people and all of that kind of thing you did it for, innit? I suppose.
I
don't believe them lies, Lex.
What's she saying? Lies, lie.
Oh, it was about last night's Channel M's live that he recounted on the Cure one, because I wanted Jive Bunny to win because it had childhood memories to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I switched off because everyone kept saying, yeah, this came out when I was a child. And I was thinking I was actually too old when that came out. But anyway.
Nah. Never too old, man. Never too old. So, people of the chat, do you want to banish beer, type beer, alcohol on planes, type planes, and expensive non-alcoholic mocktails, I think they are, then put mocktail.
It's got to be mocktails, isn't it? Because everybody else wants alcohol. Oh, there's a beer. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah, thank you, Anne.
And invite me round for a cheap non-alcoholic cocktail, but don't ask me to take my shoes off. I'll be there.
I'm thinking mocktails.
They might be just banning mocktails because they think they're pointless because they haven't got any alcohol in them.
What's the point of these things? We can't get drunk.
They're not banning them because they're overpriced. They're just saying, no, just get rid of them. Who cares? No one wants one.
Sniffing at strawberry will not make me happy. Yeah, I think it's the mocktails. Mocktails is what I'm going with. All right. Okay. So your next category is places.
Places. Okay. First one, Lex won't agree. It's Paris. I don't like Paris. And Paris doesn't like me either. So I've not had a good experience. I have only been twice or maybe 3 times, but it's never been good. So I don't know if anybody knows the song, The Ballad of Lucy Jordan, and she sings about, it's a song of regret, and she sings, at the age of 37, she realized she'd never ride through Paris in a sports car with the warm wind in her hair.
Yeah.
And that lyric, for some reason, has always haunted me. And I thought, my God, I've got to go to Paris before I'm 37. And I don't know why, but I don't want to get to 37 and regret it.
Yeah.
So I had a friend who actually might be watching this evening. And she very sweetly has a sports car and said, it's all right, I'll take you. We'll go. Before you're 37, we'll go and we'll drive off to Paris. So off we went. And we had a nice enough time getting there until we got to the center of Paris. And then her car overheated and broke down. And we were stranded in the middle of Paris trying to push it. And of course, the French are far too chic to help. And we're trying to push this car around the streets of Paris and didn't know what to do. And then she was trying to speak to people in French, trying to get someone to come out and deal with it. And it turned into a bit of a disaster. It wasn't quite this sort of video I'd imagined in my head of driving through Paris with the warm wind in my hair. It was more about pushing a broken down old car through the streets. And then the car had to be towed back to England, and we had to get on a plane and come back. So that wasn't
quite the dream that you planned then.
Not quite. We did. The only good bit about it was that we were staying in Versailles, and that was lovely, and I liked that. But that was it. And another reason is they charge £9 for a cup of coffee. Anywhere the charges is £9. You might be getting the impression that I am frugal, and to a certain extent I am. But
it's ridiculous that. Yeah. I mean, you can buy all the ingredients for to make.
You can buy your own coffee.
Yeah, you can buy the milk, you can buy the coffee, you can buy a cup as well.
Yeah.
You could literally buy everything for that, which is mad.
So anywhere that does that is not going to be my kind of place. And then the next time I was in Paris, I was actually with my friend's sister this time, and we were on our way back from Euro Disney. And we hadn't had a great time at Euro Disney. It had only just opened that week, and it hadn't been planted up, or it looked half finished, and it was not fun at all. And everybody else in the group, we were staying in a farmhouse somewhere outside of Paris, and everybody else in the group went off to somewhere else, and they had a fantastic time. And we thought we'd be clever and go to Euro Disney, and we weren't. And for some reason, we took a wrong turning at some point and wound up at the Arc de Triomphe, which is this giant roundabout with 12 different exits. And we were told that to get to where we needed to go, we needed to take one of these exits. But everyone who told us a different one. And I think it took us 4 hours of driving round and round and round. And then we'd say, let's just take this one. And it was before sat-nav, and she couldn't read a map, and we didn't know where we were, and it was getting darker and later, and it was so horrific. I hated it. So we did eventually get home, but it took a long time. So I hate Paris for that. The streets are far too wide, and I don't know, it just feels soulless to me. And then they say, oh, the Parisians, they're so chic. They're not. It's just that whatever's in fashion, either style-wise or clothes-wise, they all wear it. So they're more chic than chic, and they just all have to wear the same thing. There's very little. This is back then. It could be completely different now. I doubt it, but it might be, and I'll give them that. But I just not that keen on Paris at all. I certainly didn't feel any atmosphere or romanticism or nothing that everyone associates with Paris. So Paris can go in the bin.
Right.
No entente cordiale with me.
So what's your next choice?
Okay. My next choice is schools. Schools.
Right.
I hated school so much.
Damn.
It was so horrific. It kind of is and was my worst nightmare. And those people who say, school days, best days of your life. no. Even then, I kept thinking, no, no, life has got to be better than this. Anything has got to be better than this. Don't tell me this is the best time of my life, because then it's not worth going on. And I didn't. I mean, I had unfortunate circumstances which didn't help when it came to schools. We moved from America, from California to England when I was 10.
Yeah.
I was already, nearly 6 foot or something at 10. And yeah, and when we moved it was in the 70s, and there was a housing crisis. So you couldn't buy houses easily then, and the prices were going up and up and up and up. And so we lived in a hotel for 2 years. So my first 2 years of school, to be the kid that lives in a hotel is a bit weird. But, and I don't know if Adrienne is in this evening because she will back me up on this. My mother, who is lovely, she's a wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
She's not necessarily the greatest mother. Being a mother didn't really come natural to her. And she's not what you'd wished for in a mother.
Right.
So, stupidly, she let me go to my first day at school in whatever I wanted to wear. And I got there, and this is like a junior school, and everybody is in grey shorts and little shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I'm in a purple bandlon top with a roll neck, purple suede trousers, flares, with patch pockets. It's my favourite outfit. And I just thought, that's nice. I'll make a good impression on my first day. And I had a little, what are they called? Horoscope medallion thing in purple.
Right.
I looked fantastic. Actually, I might have a picture. I might have a picture of it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. And and of course, I walk in to this classroom, and Smarty Pants in the corner starts singing, "Is that what they wear in America? Is that what they wear in?" And of course, she was part of the music group. So not only did they humiliate me in song, they actually did it in perfect harmony, which was really irritating. And it sort of went downhill from that moment on. And then a bit later in the day, this sort of older man walked past me, leant over and said, "Oh, by the way, you're green," and then just walked off. And I thought, no, I'm not. I'm Greenfield. My name is Greenfield. Why are you saying I'm green? Turns out, which was never, ever explained to me, and I'd never heard of this before, they had houses. So each class was divided into houses. And depending on which house you were in, and apparently I was in Edison and it was green, dictated when your lessons were, where you were meant to be, and what you were taught. But no one ever told me that. So I spent a whole year wandering around this school, just going from class to class, looking for people I sort of half recognized, hoping that I was in the right place at the right time.
And but how come the school didn't sort of,
I don't think anybody really. Well, unless you sort of turn up for the first day at the first time and then don't turn up, they would notice you were there. But if you never turned up for it, no one notices who isn't there.
Yeah, but when you first went to the school, surely they kind of said, "This is this is Stephen. No. He's new. He's and then they usually kind of assign you someone to help you and whatever."
Oh no! I get a welcoming committee of the songstresses mocking me about what I'm wearing. That's what I got. I didn't get anyone to help me. It was horrific. And then, of course, we moved on to the bigger school, and it's the same school that Karen went to, actually. So she'll know it well.
All right.
And I hated it. I hated it so, because that's when the bullying started, and it was just, and unfortunately, I didn't help myself in that respect. I decided that because I was fat, that a double-breasted blazer would be far more flattering. And if it had gold buttons, that would draw the eye away. And So everybody else is in little school blazers, and I'm in this double-breasted jacket in a very dark, smart blue with big gold buttons on it. And of course, that set me apart from everybody. And then, and then you throw my mother into the mix. And she was such a disaster. So this school has this sort of big driveway thing, this big key that you would drive up, go around, and then come back out again. And my mother drove a Daimler. And the reason for that wasn't that she was rich. It was that there was a petrol crisis at the time. And she was used to big cars because she'd only driven in America. And it was one of the cheapest cars you could buy because nobody wanted it because they were petrol guzzlers. So she was happy. And anyway, comes to sports day, of which I'm not participating, obviously, because I don't do sports. And the school building is on the left. This driveway goes up to the school, and the playing field and sports field are over on the right. And there's a sort of huge area of grass for doing different things on before you got to the sports field. And of course, my mother isn't going to walk across grass in her high heels. So she just drives this Daimler right the way across the sports field. Plonks it in the middle of nowhere, just parks wherever she likes, throws open the doors and said, "Oh, I brought a hamper. Let's have a picnic." So from that moment on, school was just a disaster. Lessons being taught on time, being told what to do, when to do it, all of that. I hated every aspect of it. And even now, when I'm thinking, God, this is an awful situation I'm in, or this is particular, I think, but you're not back at school. And that saves me every time. So anyway, that was a hugely long explanation. I'm sorry, I was rambling. Did anyone?
No. That's totally fine. Everyone's enjoying listening.
Quite passionate about school. Okay, so what have I gone for?
Your last choice.
Schools and right. Oh, and this one I only sort of came up with. I changed my mind at the last minute. Craft fairs. I hate craft fairs. Now I know there are talented people out there that make really lovely things, and it's not about offending them. However, my experience, especially as a younger person, when there weren't the availability of so many different tutorials of craft fairs, is not good. First of all, okay, it doesn't start off well. I can walk into the most luxurious shop in the world selling the most fantastic creations of art for absolutely free and go and look at them and peruse them.
Right.
Go to a craft fair and they want £1.50 to go into Village Hall to look at stuff that people have cobbled together back at home. Why? Why am I paying £1.50 to come and look at your homemade stuff? And then you get in there and you think, oh God, this is depressing. And you can't hover for too long at a table because you know they start talking to you and then they're desperate to tell you how they've made it. And you have to say things like, oh, really? I didn't know you could whittle old toilet brushes and make them into that thing. Oh, that's very clever. That's very interesting. Or you're staring, trying to wonder what these lumps of Fimo clay are. And then they say, oh, these are handmade paperweights. And I'd make them myself and I bake them in the oven. And I said, oh, yeah, I thought they were ashtrays. Oh, or ashtrays, they can be either. And you know, what's the point? Or you know, some horrific, or someone's, you know, they've done etchings in pyrography of their old pet, which means nothing to anybody but them. And you can barely recognize it's an animal, but, you know, they're happy. And then they sort of turn around and charge a fortune for it. Or when they do like 3 squares of fudge, and then they wrap it up in a bit of hessian and tie a bow around. You can tie as many bows around things as you like. It's not going to make it better. I mean, bows on a corn dolly, it's still a corn dolly and nobody wants a corn dolly. And you think, yeah, I can see it. So, you know, you're saying it's £14 for these 3 squares bits of fudge because it's homemade. I can see it's homemade. I can see the dog hairs in it. I know it's homemade.
Dog hairs in it.
So yeah, craft fairs, especially when they're spelled FAYRES and
Yeah.
the old fair things, you just know they're going to be a disaster. It's stuff people have made at home because they've got too much time on their hands. That's all it is.
Okay, so right, let's go through them. Paris, I've never been.
Don't go.
And the one thing that makes us laugh about that is I remember being on the train and our Laura was about, I think she was like 4 or 5, maybe. Anyway, she saw an electric and pylon, like, and then she went, "Oh look, the Eiffel Tower!" And then like, because I was with my sister as well at the time, and then we all laughed, kind of thing, which you just do, bless her. And then my sister was like, "Oh look, there's another Eiffel Tower and another Eiffel," because it was like it's 2 of them going by. So every time I think of the Eiffel Tower, I always think of that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've seen the Blackpool Tower and it's better.
I'm tempted to say of it because I've never been to be able, and I think what's happening to you is that the issues you've had on those trips there have caused you to hate the place.
Oh, well, start saving up your pennies for your £9 coffee then if you're off.
Oh, I don't like coffee, so it's fine. I'll take my Yorkshire tea with us. It's fine. But I don't know if I'll ever get there. It's one of them things, isn't it? I might just have to. If I keep it, at least I can pretend the illusion will be good. If that makes sense. Does that work? Yeah. So I'm gonna save Paris, which I suppose most people would think I'd save schools, but also like you, I did not have the best time at school. I understand. I know when people say about, oh, it's the best time of your life, blah blah blah. And outside of school, it was, if that makes sense.
It's the best age of your life, but school's got nothing to do with it. That was the bad bit of it.
Yeah, this sort of like the bit where I wasn't at school was because I didn't really have any worries. I did what I wanted, like kind of, well, within reason, kind of thing and whatnot. But school, I had so many issues. I always felt like, I was probably like about a size 12, 14 at school, but the girls were probably about a size 8, and I was always the biggest one. Yeah. So I was always like the fat bitch, as it were. But
do you look back at pictures now and realise you weren't fat at all?
Oh, and I was, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I look back at pictures now and think, what on earth? Why did I even think that of myself? Like, but it sticks. And in the senior school, I was not only verbally bullied but physically bullied as well. So yeah, I don't have good memories.
Can you see this if I hold it up? This is me in my purple. Oh, hang on.
One second. I've just put you on bigger screen so I can see you. Oh wow, that's cool. You look well cool.
But not first day for a junior school.
Oh, but you were showing them how to go on, kind of thing. I mean, you made
funnily enough, no one ever adopted that outfit, but it's their loss.
They just didn't have a clue. Purple is my favourite colour, to be honest, so works for me. Yeah, Nick's saying what a stunner. And that says dedicated follower of fashion. And Dawn says you look pretty smashing to me, Stephen.
Smashing.
Yeah. So they clearly just didn't have a clue, did they? Like back then. I understand obviously you're supposed to learn, but I don't think I learned that much within school because I struggled so much. I also had some sort of like, and I still do have some sort of, I don't know what it is.
Like a block when someone tries to tell you something and then it just doesn't seem. Yeah.
But like just with words in general, in the sense like I can read something, like I can know that that's what it means, but I can't see it, and the whole of my brain just wants to see it as I see it, even though I know the word, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and also if I'm writing or anything, I speed up so fast that I speed up so fast that I miss words out, or I put words in that didn't actually.
Not very clever.
Thanks, son.
I did go to a lovely school in California before we came to, which kind of made it worse, really. And it was a really small school, but it had its own petting zoo and a swimming pool, and hardly any students. And all the teachers were so sweet and lovely, except for the music teacher, who told me never ever to sing in public ever again because I was so out of tune. I didn't like her for that. But then her son brought his electric guitar out on their veranda when it was raining and electrocuted the whole family. So I've kind of forgiven her for that. She got her just desserts.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Christine, there's so many types of dyslexia not known in our day. Yeah, and I think that's what it was. And so I struggled, and I absolutely loved English, and I loved reading, I loved writing and all that, but I really struggled with it because of it, and I think it made me feel bad about it, type of thing.
Do you remember when they used to make you read a line, and they would work, round the class, and everyone had to read? I used to panic, absolutely panic. And I would hold my finger on the line. I'd work it all out and hold my finger on the line and say it over and over in my head. And I wasn't reading it. I was just sort of memorizing it so that I could say it. Absolute panic. I hated it.
I think with schools in general, I think that they cater for this certain thing that everyone has to follow, and we're not the same. You know what I mean? We're not the same. Like, and so it doesn't cater for everybody. If you don't,
there's this one thing.
And all they're bothered about is the stats initially. Like, my junior school was good. I think it was when I went into comp that things changed for me. But my junior school,
can I just answer, Kelly? Yes, absolutely fried the entire family. Husband, son, and my music teacher gone.
Wow.
But I still don't sing in public, so she got her own way in the end.
That's mad, isn't it? Right, craft fairs. As for craft fairs, I'm not, I don't go to these things. I know it's a massive deal and loads of people do it, and especially within lockdown. I am not gifted in that way. If anyone saw my drawing or like,
you can have a stall with your photos, though.
Yeah, but I don't see that as
It's not.
I mean, I might be wrong, but I class photography more as an art than
it is an art
type of thing. I know some people don't even class it as an art, but I think if it's something you can look at, essentially, that doesn't have a purpose, as in something you make, a peg bag or whatever. I'm just trying to think of something. Then that has a purpose for something else. Whereas, like, art, a sculpture, a picture or photograph or whatever, it's different, isn't it?
Or something made with whittled glue brushes, or old Weetabix stuck together with denture cream, making pencils and things. Always attractive. Can't think why I don't have one at home.
Yeah.
And there's such a fortune for it. That's the other thing. It's not that they all tell you they do it just because they love it, but then you look at the price and you think, it's not just because you love it.
I have to say, I will say one thing though. I have seen some card makers and stuff like that who do these, like crafting card makers and things like that.
Yes.
Who are amazing at those kinds of things, like, personally, but a craft fair in general is not something that I would go to. It's just not my kind
one or two stores will always stand out as being,
but actually
the general thing is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's just embarrassing because you have to...
you do kind of think some people have just been watching too many Blue Peters, and spent their childhood waiting for the fairy bottle, and that was what it was, wasn't it? Anyway, so I'm not going to save any of the... I'm going to save Paris. I have decided on that. I'm going to save Paris, and I'll let
I hope they're grateful to you.
decide. I'm sure they will be. I let the chat decide whether they want to banish schools. I mean, we'll have to put the kids somewhere. I mean, I did see a couple of suggestions of a sweatshop in the zoo as options. Maybe we could let them out the cupboard. I don't know, whatever. But we'll have to think of something in its place. Something that's more, what's the word? Thingy to each person. Like, what is
Yes.
their thing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the words, and
I know what you mean, but I can't think of the word either. But I mean, tailored.
That's all right. Tailored works. So, people in the chat, if you want to banish schools, type schools, and if you want to banish craft fairs, type craft. Or you can write the whole word if you want.
Am I losing people here? Because I feel like I've been on for hours. What time is it?
No,
I have been on for hours.
Yeah, I've had longer ones than this.
Okay. That's a proud post.
There's 80 odd people here, which is, I think, somewhere near the equal of the highest I've had watch live. So
they're all asleep.
You've just all really, you know what I mean?
They're planning their trips to Paris. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. It's Elaine telling everyone that I'm really an alien. True. It's funny because my parents used to call us Laney when I was little, and my uncle especially, he'd be good, little Laney. And I used to hear it, being like 5 or 6, I'd be like, I'm called Elaine, you know what I mean? Like, because I wanted to sound like a grown up. And then I get to about sort of 30, maybe a bit before that, and I started thinking, Elaine sounds old, I need to sound younger. I'll revert back to Laney, and it kind of stuck. But I used it at first just on like online games things that I used to play, and then it sort of went onto YouTube and my Facebook, and now everyone, you know what I mean?
Whenever I listen to the traffic things on the radio, they always say, oh, when so-and-so's blocked because Elaine is out. And I always think, well, if Elaine had stayed back home, then there wouldn't be that traffic jam. Every time. And I amuse myself for hours with that.
Susan says, and now we call you Looney. Yes, actually, that was Google. When I say, hello, my name's Laney, Google changed it to Looney once. Yeah. So I'm like, it also said that the subtitles also said that I said that the dogs had been banned off the beaches, and it said that we burn dogs on the beaches. And I was like, can you imagine?
You're gonna have the RSPCA banging at your door.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god. No worries, Dawn. See you later.
Bye, Dawn.
Right, wow. I'm thinking it's schools, and there's a few craft fairs as well, but I think schools.
Oh, Lawrence wants to ban Paris. Yay!
I saw a couple of people say that. Yeah, Arlie Lane Zaloni, that's true. So, yeah, it's schools, it is.
Hey, thank goodness for that. I'll never have to go back. Ever.
I wasn't planning on it, like.
Well, the thing is, I don't mind learning things now. But just back then I couldn't do it.
Because you're learning what you like, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what you find interesting, where at school you had to learn Shakespeare or whatever it was that was.
Yeah, and then you're meant to go from that to then sort of 40 minutes later doing something completely different. And, it takes me a while to get into something. And then just as you do, the bell goes and you've then suddenly got, now it's art, now it's this. And it's stupid. I actually only managed out of 3 terms, if you added it up, I managed 2 terms out of every 3 in a year to turn up. I would take at least a term off. But just by turning up. Horrible. Anyway, schools, forget it. Let it go. It's over.
It's gone. All right. Things people wear.
Yeah, this was my very least subject that I like, because when I was younger, I used to make clothes, and I was so judgmental about what people wore. Absolutely horrifically so. Really. People can say, "Oh, do you remember when we did this, this, and this?" And it can be 30 years ago, and I'll say, "Yes, and you wore that so and so, and you shouldn't have done." And yeah, absolutely. But of course, now I'm big and old and lazy. I just want to be comfortable. And if I can be comfortable, then everybody else is allowed to be comfortable now, which they weren't when I was younger. So I don't really care what people wear. It's nothing to do with me, and it doesn't bother me. So it's hard to find it. But I have. Don't worry, I have.
That's good.
So
otherwise, it would be a bit. Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we could have an intermission. You know, you could play some music. I could pop to the loo.
We want to go and get a drink.
And everyone could then just enter their own things.
We're selling ice creams.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that does affect me, which is what Kelly chose, and that's flesh-coloured leggings, and those distract me while I'm driving. So that actually affects me. What everybody else wears the rest of the time doesn't affect me. So it's hard to care, really. But
yeah,
what I'm going to go for is unfit people wearing sports clothes with giant logos, brands on them. And I don't care that they're wearing them. It's not about the people wearing them. It just makes me smile that these sort of sports designers have all sat around trying to work out these perfect outfits. And I'm sure in their head they've got young people with perfect physiques in mind. And yet their actual market is, unfit, healthy people who just want to wear them for comfort and never intend to do a day's sport in them in their lives. And so, yeah. So
it's when they wear them just to what about him because of the brand rather than actually, you know what I mean, going jogging in the
I mean, I suppose so. But it's just, if I were to put on something that said, I don't know, Slazenger, you could look at me and tell I've never played a day's tennis, in my life. And so why am I wearing Slazenger? It just doesn't make sense. And I'm not really helping them to promote their brand as being the brand for keen, fit tennis players. I'm really just another slob wearing what's comfortable. So it sort of undermines them.
I don't think they care. I just think they want to sell as many as possible, so they'll sell it to whoever.
But the people who sit and design them must care, mustn't they?
I don't know. If they're getting paid, maybe not.
No, maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, otherwise, I think those people would sell specific, and keep it within a certain. It's like Wonder Bra, for instance, right? Wonder Bra was supposed to give you the perfect boobs, blah, blah, blah. Don't go anywhere near my size or any plus size that I mean, they might have changed now, but they didn't. It was like literally you could have no more than a handful. And
okay,
then,
I might have got this wrong because bras aren't necessarily my thing.
No, it's like,
were they not designed for people who didn't necessarily have a cleavage to have a cleavage? So therefore, they were never going to be suitable.
Yeah, but like people who have a cleavage want their cleavage to stay together. No one is a part company, so therefore a bra that pushes them up in place would be better. They could then have a wonder cleavage.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the thing. I just always remember.
Just super glue them. Just super glue them.
Just a bit of Velcro.
Yeah.
Apart when you can't sleep.
Okay, so sorry, but that's what I've come up with.
No, that's fine.
My next one, and I don't know if these are particular to Brighton or they're generic and they can be spotted in lots of places, but you get middle-aged men who've kept themselves sort of quite trim and wear brightly coloured, I'm going to call them slacks. They're sort of trousers. I think they're meant to be chinos, but they're usually in a bright mustard or a sort of cantaloupe pink thing going on or something like that. Do you know the sort. I mean, do you ever see them? They'll sometimes wear a jacket, you know, sort of tweed jacket with them or whatever, or a cardigan with the sleeves tied in a knot over their shoulders.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They have thick horn-rimmed glasses, and then they have unkempt hair that you can tell took them hours to just get right to look like they'd not touched it. And I don't know what it's about. Is it trying to look young, or is it trying to look interesting? And obviously they do look interesting because I've noticed them, but I don't actually know anybody who dresses
I don't know, but like, to me, like, I kind of think that's the fisherman on his night out. Like, you know, I don't know what it is. Like, they get rid of the hat, rid of the thing, have a shave, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what they'd go out like in a night out.
Oh.
Hopefully
yeah,
not feeling
it's meant to make them look sort of arty or interesting, or like, you know, I might be old, but I still care. I don't really understand what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And yet it's quite a generic
maybe
look. Sometimes
maybe what it was is that they didn't have the bravery you had as a 10-year-old to be and wear what you wanted, and so they've been sort of like in this, you know, grey black navy type of life. Yeah, they've been in this grey black navy type of life, and then they hit like a sort of midlife crisis and go, right, I'm going to look like this.
So, okay, there is an element of midlife crisis to me about it, and as I say, because I don't know anybody that dresses like that, I can safely bin them and not offend anybody I might know. So that's kind of why they've got in there. I don't really care that they dress like that. I don't understand it, and I wish I did, but yeah, that it's not offensive, but I don't get it. And sometimes they wear big scarves that they've intricately tied in. Do you ever see?
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I think, God, even a Boy Scout couldn't undo that. How have you done that? You know, it's all sort of tied in and things like this. So yeah, and yeah, the thick horn-rimmed glasses. So who knows? I might sport that look myself next year, but not at the moment.
When you reach middle age, maybe. You never know.
I'd have to go backwards.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
The last one.
Oh, thank God. Okay, this isn't strictly clothes. I did say I struggled a bit on this one, but we're going to call it an accessory, and you're going to let me get away with it.
I feel like I'm being hypnotized. We're going to call it, and then you're going to let me get away with it.
And you're back in the room.
Back in the room.
So, okay, men over 30 who skateboard.
Men over 30.
Yeah, it's quite specific. I mean, do you not see them? You know, skateboarding is great and it's fun for younger people. And I feel
they have to wear the attire, obviously. So
they tend to wear the attire, but often they then carry the skateboard around with them because they go everywhere on it. So that's my tenuous loose link that they're sort of wearing the skateboard. But you know, I always think that up until the age of 30, people do sporty things and things like that for fun, just because they can. And then after 30, it's slightly more desperate, and it's about, I've got to stay young, or I've got to stay fit, or I want to still be relevant, or whatever. But it just doesn't look good to see older men going everywhere on a skateboard. I think, what went wrong in your life? And especially if it's their only mode of transport and they put it down as such. You know, I've got my own transport and it's a skateboard. So men over 30 on skateboards. I don't know if it might be a Brighton thing. I don't know if you see them in lots of places, but a lot here.
Nick's just admitted that he did have a skateboard and he got rid of it last year, and he's just over 30.
He just got out in time, didn't he?
Yeah, just in time.
Just.
What about an electric scooter? Is that different? Martin's got a skateboard.
Yeah, you might find up offending people.
Yeah, but is it just a fashion accessory now? Just you just carry it around, so like
they just sort of put it behind their neck and go around.
Yeah, you get your sleeve tacks, put them on, you know. them pieces of material that have tattoos on. Get a couple of them, stick them over your arms,
Yeah.
You under your t-shirt or
some
whatever
white
it is.
board shorts or whatever it is they wear. I don't know what they wear.
I haven't got a clue.
No.
So, yeah. If they're good at it, I suppose.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine. But
It's
if they're not good at it anymore, and it's just a case of like, trying to stay cool and relevant or whatever, or they did it back when they were like 15 and they've now decided to get back into it and they're 35.
Yeah,
it's kind of a bit. I mean,
literally, there are men here that go everywhere on their skateboard. It's not like they've got any other way to get around, and I'm just thinking, I don't know. Is that maybe you could have upgraded to a bicycle by now, but
a bike or just buy a car.
Or walk. You could walk.
Well, that helps. Okay, so what shall I choose here? Let's have a look. I was reading in the chat about the unfit people wearing sports brands thing. Lex said that it should be called pies.
Pies?
Pies, as in who ate all the pies, I guess. And so I think it was Neil had said, you should release the pies. And it made us laugh because it's like, if the brand did release the pies, and you're like, you know what I mean?
Oh, and like Nike do it, they could just have eat it. Yeah. That would be great.
Oh, for me, it would be stop eating it. Do you know what I mean? And then that might help. Okay. So, I get it. I know some people do it as a fashion thing, but it's not really fashion. It's meant to be helpful, isn't it? I suppose. If you're using it for the right reason, then fair enough, I guess. And then these middle-aged men in the bright slacks, as we're calling them. I remember chinos. I remember chinos when they came out. My brother had them, so sort of like, I think it would have been about 83, maybe early 80s or something.
Yeah, these are timeless though. These are. I don't know where people even buy them from, and they're a weird fit. They're not tight. They're not loose. They're kind of just slacks.
Yeah.
I don't. Where do you buy them? They look expensive. The people that wear these do look rich. They've got the cashmere and they've got the tweed and they've got these brightly coloured trousers that are meant to make a statement. So where are they getting them from?
Somewhere I don't shop, that's for sure.
Someone must know.
Yeah. Maybe they're like special, like, what is it? Where they're
mail order in the back of a cab.
Is it Savile Row?
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's Savile Row. Maybe
there'll be some brand that they all know of that I just have never heard of. I once went to a party and all the men were wearing these very loud shirts, and it turned out they were all stockbrokers and things, and they're the sort that would ask me what I did for a living, and that's the sort of thing I hate. And I asked somebody where they got these, and I could hear them talking about them, and they kept calling them hetero shirts. And I thought, what's a hetero shirt? Is it because it's loud and it could be considered a gay shirt, but you're having to say that it's a... Turns out there was some designer called Hetero, and it's a shop in London. But all I kept hearing was, I got my hetero shirt here, and I got my hetero... I think, what the hell is a hetero shirt? But it was hetero. So there'll be the same thing for these trousers. I'll have some.
Nothing because Sharon's put cotton traders.
Yeah.
They're not expensive, Sharon. Richard said the lanes. That's where they're getting them from. I don't like that look, to be honest. Like,
No.
it's not my kind of thing. Like, I find, and it's my turn thingy, but I think I would find them unapproachable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just
Yeah.
think I kind of look and think, oh, you're going to be an asshole. And that sounds awful to say, but I just judge them by someone's appearance. But I think that's how I'd feel a little bit. But
Yeah.
then maybe you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, I guess. But, you know.
I have a feeling if they were fun or interesting, I might know them, or I'd know somebody who does dress like that, but I don't.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling they can't be.
No. Or maybe they are just fishermen who like get together and have this code of thing. This is their out of, you know, fisherman gear. Yeah. Okay, and then men over 30 who skateboard. I think yeah, I know what you mean by wearing the skateboard. It's kind of a fashion statement. And I think if someone genuinely has skateboarded all their life and is still in their 30s and doing it and are good at it,
Yeah.
you know, and not like breaking their arm every week, that's one thing. But if someone is just like, you know, did it when they were 15 for 6 months and then thought, oh, I know what I'll do, I'll get a new skateboard and then carry it about to like go 2 minutes down the road and then fall flat on their back, that's a bit like, nah.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that most men do everything in the hope of attracting the opposite sex. That's the sort of idea behind 90% of everything they do. And I'm not sure that carrying a skateboard around does that, unless you're Lex and she likes that sort of thing. But what about, it's the same as men who used to turn up with guitars at parties. God, I hated them. I hated them. And they'd sit there and strum. And you just
and we're waiting for someone to ask them to sing.
Yeah. To me, they're the same person. So
yeah, it's like I play a guitar, but but I brought it along and that, you know.
Oh, well,
and everyone get like, and everyone's get like, oh, go on, play it, and they go, oh no, I'm a bit rusty, or you know, whatever.
Oh, here we go. Let it be. Let it be.
Oh yeah, oh, that's the only tune I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it says, I like a dapper chap.
Yeah.
Are we talking like Peaky Blinders dapper chap? Are you talking Danny Dyer in it? Somewhere there.
I'm going to take a picture next time I'm out and I see one.
Yeah. Okay, right.
I'll be like you with, you know, when you spot an exotic bird and you zoom in. I'll be with my camera. Oh, look, there's one in the wild.
In the wild. This is the male.
This is a spotted slack wearer.
He appears to be about 40 years of age. He's clean shaven. And he's definitely more colourful than the female who is beside him in the brown.
Yes.
Pinafore.
And that is actually true as well. That is true. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That happens in birds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Lex says, I do like the PB look. Yeah, I thought you might. I have to say, I kind of like that. I love the sort of flat cap.
Oh, I've just seen Simon. My friend Simon's here. Hey.
Oh, hi, Simon.
Hi, Simon.
Okay, so out of these choices, I'm not going to save any. I'll let the chat decide. So if you want to banish unfit people wearing sports brands, doesn't necessarily matter about their size. It's just whether they don't actually.
If they're unfit, I mean, you know, they don't
actually exercise. They don't use the sports brand or the tracksuit or
they clearly don't do sport,
cycling shorts or whatever for the sport itself. Then just type sport. If you want to banish middle-aged men in slacks, then type slack. And if you want to banish men over 30 who carry a skateboard, type skate. It says hello from NZ, New Zealand, I'm guessing. So we'll see what they decide, and then we'll go from there.
They're too busy saying hello to Simon. They don't care about slacks. Oh, after all that, oh, like a dapper man. Lex is banned slack wearer.
Yeah, I think she likes them more of a manly,
more rough and ready.
Yeah, a bit more. Yeah, I was going to say a bit more of just come down, of just being down pit, but that's not what I mean. I don't know where that come from.
Your northern roots will always come out.
Yeah,
you can't help it. You know, generations of miners have gone before you. Yeah.
I don't even know that any. I mean, my dad worked down the shipyards, actually, not, but I don't know of any miners in the family, to be honest. I mean, there's probably is somewhere down the way, but none that I knew of. Okay. It's looking like slacks to me.
Hey. I wasn't sure people would recognize what I was trying to describe there, but I think just the word slacks sends people into.
Yeah, it's kind of like, do you remember clots? Is it called culottes?
Culottes, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that for men, isn't it? These slacks are kind of a bit too much.
It's just a weird fit. They're
yeah, they don't look quite. I don't know. They don't look quite right for me.
No.
I've lost my. I don't know what I keep doing with my pen, but I keep losing it. Anyway, we're
and finally, God, this is. I have gone on so much. I'm so sorry.
Honestly, it's been absolutely lovely, and I'm sure everyone in the chat would agree. So never be sorry.
No.
The last topic is random mix.
Random mix.
You can choose whatever you want.
Okay. I didn't go for anything that I thought I might, mostly because I didn't want to offend the world. So I have just gone for quite simple things. And my first one is going to be those never-ending dog leads. Do you know the ones that people take their dog out on it and it just goes on and on and on and on, and their dog can be like 30 yards away and they're still on a lead, and the owner's fine because they think, well, my dog's still on a lead. But meanwhile, they've actually created a tripwire for the rest in public places. This is, and not when you're out about, whatever. But I'm talking. It's mostly because I used to go walking along the prom in the mornings, and then people would do this, and you either had to play skip rope or just fly over, and you didn't see them, or they, run around in circles and then tie their owner up with them, and you can't do anything because they look like they're about to be burnt at the stake. So, people who go in public places with those never-ending dog leads, no, they need to be shot.
Speaking of Ding, he must be arguing with you about that.
He's not happy. He doesn't,
Well, someone's going past. Thinks he's brave, you see. The worst thing is, right, he acts like that, and then, if, anyone were to come in, he'd be like, oh, hi, you know what I mean? Like, get all over them. But he acts like that if someone goes by. So I suppose that's a good thing in a sense, because at least,
it keeps people away.
Because he sounds like he means business and he actually doesn't.
I'm surprised they don't make sensors that send off barking. They probably do actually make barking noises, so that as a security device, I'd have then I could leave my window open. So but I can't. Okay, so never-ending dog leads, tripwires, absolutely appalling. What's my next one? Okay, I've got one here that's got subcategories to it, and it's just overcomplicated things of life that I don't think need to be as complicated as they are. And it's things like, when you buy something and it comes in those hard molded plastic see-through shell cases, how do you get them open? They are hermetically sealed all around the edge. You have to start cutting them open with scissors, don't you? There's no way to actually, unless I'm doing something wrong. This is what I always think every time I get one and I can't open it. You're doing something wrong. There is an obvious way to do this, but I can't get them open, and I wind up stabbing them. And if you're out somewhere and you've bought something, I think I've had to buy a lead while I'm out in the car to charge my phone or whatever. And I have to then go and buy a pair of scissors or try and do it with my car keys, trying to get the bloody thing.
I've done that.
Absolutely horrific. And it can't be necessary. Why can't you just pull them apart? But anyway, or even things like changing a light plug. I don't see why you have to have like a Batman utility belt just to change a plug. Why are there two types of screws? Why are they three different sizes? Why for one plug? Why can't you just have one type of screw? Or yeah, of course, it just doesn't need to be that complicated. Or deck chairs. You need a physics degree to set up a deck chair. I don't understand. I just can't do it. I don't understand. And then when you do set them up, they're 2 inches off the ground. You can't really sit in them. Well, you do sit in them, and your arms either have to go inside them or they go outside and drag on the floor. And then I can't get out of one afterwards. So I hate deck chairs in general, but setting them up is overly complicated, in my opinion. And I often think it just needs someone to show you the trick, because, and I don't know how many people will know this, but if you buy a tube of something, they're sealed at the top when you take the cap off. Have you ever looked at the top of the cap and seen that little star-shaped thing inside the top of a cap?
Yeah, well, you have to then push it inside the other thing.
You knew that. I was like 40 before anyone ever told me that. I didn't realize you pierced it with that. That's what that thing was for. I just never knew that. So
yeah, is it Primula cheese that does that?
All of them, actually, most anything.
I've seen like, I think it's Primula cheese that has that. But with some of them, you get those, and then they don't stab it. You're like hammering it, and you can't. It's like jars. It's like being able to open a jar. Because it kind of airlocks, doesn't it? Like it's really airlocks. And I remember my dad. If like my dad couldn't open it, he would stick a really sharp knife through it to let the air out, so he could open it. That would be the only way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dangerous. Oh, and that's another thing. Actually, somebody has just recently said, because we don't have shootings here, but we do have stabbings. Why don't they make knives without sharp ends on them? And then you would reduce stabbings by a huge amount if they were just all rounded and blunt. We don't need sharp-ended knives anymore.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah,
I should have been those. But anyway, it's overcomplicated things that don't need to be as complicated as they are.
Yeah.
Is that a category? Is that a thing?
Definitely that's a thing, definitely.
Okay.
So, your last one?
And the final last one. And again, this may be a Brighton thing, but I don't think it is. Shabby chic cafes. And you walk in, and they're usually overcrowded, and they think it's a really clever design concept to have mismatched tables and chairs.
Yeah.
And usually there's some old rickety chair covered in woodworm that I know is going to fall apart on me anyway. But then the worst bit is that they're not designed necessarily for the table they're at. So you're either way too low and you're sitting trying to eat a meal like this, or I'm really, really high, like some gargoyle reaching down for my food, or I can't get my legs under.
Like your food's on a coffee table and you're sitting on a stool.
Yeah, and you're just sort of hunched over it. And of course, if you've got a belly like mine, the last thing you want to do is eat and be squashing your belly at the same time. Or I can't get my legs underneath it, and I'm sort of half a yard back, just eating like this because my legs won't fit under the table because they don't.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it. You might as well, and you're paying, for this discomfort, and the public humiliation of sitting there being crazy trying to eat your food in these weird positions, like on a child's chair, like I'm something out of Alice in Wonderland. You might as well just put me in stocks and throw food at me. It's the same thing. It's absolutely horrific. So, yes. Shabby chic cafes.
Shabby chic cafes. Okay.
Yes, Susan, yes. And then they bring the shovel out with a sandwich on it. Yes, exactly.
The never-ending dog leads. We have one.
There's nothing wrong with it, but not in public, surely.
No. And like my daughter tends to use it just like if she takes him on the beach and she's in space, then she'll let him sort of run around, that kind of thing. We nearly had an incident once when I was with her, and like he kind of clotheslined me with it, which, you know, because he spotted something that way and went, and I was like, oh, clothesline. So I have a kind of love-hate with it. It gives him a little bit extra freedom so that he can run around, but they are pretty dangerous. Like if
I set up a tripwire across the I'd be arrested.
Yeah,
but I've got a dog on the end of it, then it's okay.
I've heard of a lot of people who have like injured their hands or whatever, or their legs, because obviously the dog's gone woof, like darted, not just woof. I wasn't like doing an impression, like legged it type of thing after something, and it's either caught their legs or it's caught their hand or whatever. So yeah, but I also understand that in some cases, for dogs that do that, it's kind of necessary. But we obviously, it's got a lock option, so you can lock it when you're beside a lot of people. So I think as long as it's locked when it's in, like, you know, when there's quite a few people, then I am going to keep it for that reason.
Okay. It comes with a warning: to be used properly.
To be used properly, yes, exactly, and not around a lot of people or in big built-up areas or whatever. Your second choice with overcomplicated everything, basically. I totally agree. Like when you've bought some scissors because you need some scissors, but then you need some scissors to get to the scissors.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And then you're fighting it.
That's exactly it.
You can't even, like, even once you get in the top, right? You can't just, like, it doesn't just
still won't come out because it's molded over it. You have to put the whole thing up.
Yeah, you have to. So then you start. I mean, I've literally pulled. Once I've got one bit in, I start pulling at the thing to try and get in, and then I think someone said it in the chat. They've got cable ties to keep it in place as well, which you then need scissors for the cable ties to get it off. Do you know what I mean? So it's absolute madness. And it's so unnecessary, surely, now, in these days. There's got to be a better way to do something. And I mean, I think
it's not like they're fragile things or anything, usually. You know, they're usually hard plastic things that aren't going to break anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing it's for the safety of people who touch them so that they don't cut themselves and go, oh, look, I got cut because I touched these scissors.
I could cope with a few deaths if it made my life easier. I could weigh those two things up and still sleep at night.
And then what else did you say in this category again? Because my brain's just gone.
You see, I have gone on too much.
No. Yeah, that's just my brain.
Shabby chic, where tables and chairs don't match.
Oh yeah, I have issues anyway, usually, because tables tend to be too low and not wide enough for me and the way the chair. Do you know what I mean? So I usually have to have somewhere, I suppose, in one sense, where everybody's got the same issue as me. It's not bad, is it?
No, I just see that.
No, like, to be honest, no, it would annoy me as well if I was in there, like, but, you know, just in the sense of, like, now we're all uncomfortable. But yeah, I like the idea of I can't speak shabby chic, because I like the fact that it was like reusing things, and it was sort of like, you know what I mean? However, I still think there has to be an element of practicality within it, especially if you've got like a calf or something like that, because they obviously not just, you know, for able-bodied people, but for people who have got disabilities who are coming in there, they still need to be able to use whatever it is you're using, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do get that, and I think it's kind of awkward, but I do like the reuse factor. I just think that Maybe.
I'm sure they're behind the counter just laughing their heads off at all these misshapen people trying to eat their food.
Yeah.
They're putting it on purpose.
I think so. Because I've obviously saved the never-ending dog lead thing, then I have to let the chat decide between overcomplicated things in life. So you can put anything in there that's overcomplicated, and then if you want to choose that, just put over for the sake of easiness to type. Or shabby chic calves, put calves or calf. Cafe. What's the right word? Cafe.
Cafe.
See, I'm so not posh, am I?
What are you saying, cafe?
Calf. It's a calf to me.
Oh, well, yeah.
Which is like our out of EastEnders. Calf! That's probably better, you know what I mean? I think most people are going for overcomplicated by the looks of it. I think I don't see anything else, actually. Wait a minute. Did I miss anything?
Well, we've come to the end. I'm so grateful. I'm so desperate for the loo.
Yeah.
And so how many of the 80 are left now? 2.
64. Some people go to bed earlier than me. I'm still awake at like 2, 3, 4 me.
They got into their sports. They got into their sports pajamas and went to bed.
Sports pajamas. Oh God. Does it just say just go to sleep?
Yeah. What? Okay. Susan, what record have I smashed for going on the longest? How long?
I don't know.
God.
I like it. It's cool.
No one is going to watch this back, are they? They're going to look at that time and think.
I tell you, I bet you any money people watch it back. Not sure if Carl is still here, but I think she will rewatch the end if she didn't see it.
I gave her permission to go to bed early.
Oh, you gave her permission.
Yeah.
You can go to sleep, Carla.
I wrote her a note. 2 hours and 2 minutes was the previous record, and I
think that was it Lex's record before. I think.
Oh God.
Oh, wait until I'll probably like when it's mine and I have to do it and everyone's doing mine. It'll probably go over that, so don't worry about it. But honestly, as I said, it's the overcomplicated. Just to finish off, is the one that's going in the Banish bin. But it's been so much fun. Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate that you did it, and like I've had the best laugh in ages. And
for anybody who does do it, it is a bit weird at the start, but there's many. You told me this.
I did.
You said it, and it was absolutely true. You kind of. I mean, I wish I could sort of read all the chat and everything at the same time, but I feel like I'm just having a conversation with you, and that. Yeah, and it's nice.
I try to dip in the chat, but again, for me, even it's hard, and especially when they're all getting involved and having conversations. And I do try and dip in, but because you're doing this, it's hard to do. But as I said, thank you so much. Elaine,
thank you, thank you, everybody in the chat and the people that wouldn't normally have turned up, but I told them to, and they did.
Psychic Stew was 2 hours 2 minutes. Lex was 2 hours exactly. But Barry said it's been entertaining and fascinating. Elaine said yes, I could listen to Stephen read the phone book. I agree. Andrew said it's been an entertaining evening. Dodo says thanks, Lainey and Stephen. Take care, everyone. Susan says thanks, Stephen and Lainey. Much fun. Chris says thanks. Well done, Stephen. I mean, you can read it. I don't know why I'm reading it out, but yeah. Is that your friend, Catherine?
Oh, Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Oh.
It's great fun. Nice to meet you, Stephen's friend. From Stephen's friend.
Yeah, I wish I'd known these people. Well, maybe I shouldn't have known they were there, but they've heard my stories before.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But next week is Lee, which is Caller Flipper, but he's on at the earlier time of 7:30. Next Tuesday. It marks 2 years since I've been on this channel. 2 years since my first video, which is mad.
Wow.
So I'll be doing a Chatty Tuesday after that, after the next week's Banish bin. But thank you again, Stephen. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
And we shall catch you later. So bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.